Good afternoon, friends and foes. It's your buddy chopping on another episode, NHL style DFS Diary, brought to you by the one, the only DFSArmy.com, your one-stop shop for everything daily fantasy sports. Of course, you know what to do. You head down to the comments section, you unlock the VIP membership. Use coupon code CHOP, CHOP, trigger that 20% off discount. Today, Freebie Friday. If you see me on Twitter at all, follow me out here at Chopadong. You see me tweeting different rankings and different pictures of the different NBA statistics. Things like the top 5-and-1s, who's hot. Things like, there's a video on NBA that goes through DraftKings for you. There's Clock Watch, who's minutes up. You see some pretty cheerleaders telling you to clap your hands for the day because it's Friday. And of course, looking at consistency numbers and who might hit 6x for upside. There's just a ton of ways to go about things, but we have unlocked that research station for you. This is the link to the research stations open to the public today. Come in and test our tools out. But we're going to talk more about NHL right now, and I'm going to do this a completely different way. Hello, Fantasy Labs. Free tool, anybody can use it since that's the focus of today. Just another way to skin a cat. There's a jillion ways to skin a cat. If you like this type of tour, you like this type of information, you click the like, you click the subscribe button, ring the little notification bell, and we are off and rolling. This is a neat little page, honestly, in Fantasy Labs, telling you team ratings and shows what I went looking for today, which was expected goals. And it kind of covers a few things that I would jump all the way over here to the right side for today. Expected Corsi 4, goals 4, fantasy points. I love expected fantasy points. I've always, just give me the bottom flipping line, man. Just tell me who's going to score freaking points. Because at the end of the day, it's results that matter. Activity leads to results. And with better activity comes better results. But damned if I know which day they're going to happen. What I know is I can chase activity or I can chase results. And let me show you something interesting when it comes to today. Let's look first at expected Corsi. You can sort that column. You've got a big 52, 48, 47, etc., right? Descending order. This Corsi 4, if you don't know what Corsi is is just anything flung at the net. Doesn't matter if it goes wide, doesn't matter if it goes high, doesn't matter if the goalie knocks it down, doesn't matter if it goes in the net. If it's a puck that is intentionally shot at the net, it's going to register a Corsi number. And what that tells us is, with blocks and things that get in the way, and sometimes shots don't go on goal, supposedly it's a better metric of a shooting team. You can see leading the way is Carolina. You can see Montreal, Toronto, Arizona, and this would be Florida down here, expected to shoot the puck more towards the net tonight, have high shooting events. Shots on goal when they get through. Now, this isn't a shot on goal, but when it becomes a shot on goal because it gets through to the goalie, leads to a little bit of your floor. It pays to pay attention to that. But it's not the end-all and be-all, because watch how this ranking changes today. We come over here, we go to expected goals for who's actually quality with those shots, and you come down with Toronto, Carolina, Calgary, Pittsburgh, and the New York Islanders. Where'd Montreal go? Where'd Florida go? They gone. Why? Because they like to shoot the puck a lot, but they don't put the biscuit in the basket too terribly often. Now, that doesn't mean they can't have a great night. It just means that according to expected goals for, our team shuffled up a little bit. Now let's go look at fantasy points. Let's see who ends up in the top 5 here. Oh, looky there. Toronto, Calgary, Pittsburgh. There's something to these teams today, is there not? Again, this is why I like writing these things down on a list and creating lists where I can look at things side by side. So I'm not constantly shuffling columns, constantly shuffling tabs or whatever, and then trying to remember what the hell I'm doing. It's easier to write it down so I've got it in one place, and then I can look at it, and then I can compare side by side by side. Columbus is the 5th team down here. If we go to an overall rating, this would happen to be very, very tied to fantasy points. I know, shocker, right? Toronto, Carolina, Calgary, Pittsburgh, Columbus. I mean, it's damn near the same order, right? So let's go back to the bottom line, which is fantasy points. Well, actually, let's do another thing. You can come over here to defense. Let's see who's allowing the most goals against right now. Most goals against right now over the last month, Florida, Ottawa, Buffalo. Look, is there any surprise that the team allowing the most goals against, Florida, is facing one of the teams that rank very, very high on expected goals for in Toronto? This isn't rocket science, guys. It's just logic. Now, so when you sit here and you pin all of your hopes on logic in a slate and the whole damn thing unravels and backfires on you, don't get pissed at the end of the day. Play money you can afford to lose. Play within your bankroll. Live to fight another day because, damn it, this is going to work eventually. That's hockey. It's going to backfire on you a lot. But logically speaking, this is going to work more often than the other flip a coin, throw a dart, let my wife pick because of the color of the uniforms or whatever the hell, not to insult women. Sorry to do that in a PC world that we live in today. I probably just pissed off 3 of my 12 listeners. But at any rate, looking at this makes sense that most of the time, if we just play the numbers game, we're going to have decent results. Now, there's a little bit of interpretation that goes involved, with matchups and travel and all this and that. So there are little nuances that can maybe help you out a little bit. But there's also crossing into the land of overthinking, Overthinkers Anonymous, that kind of stuff happens too. And so we have to kind of be careful. I very much like keeping things hyper simple. That's why I focus on guys that are a little bit newer to the game. That's why I focus on getting people up to speed quickly and up and running quickly with my coaching and things. Because to me, I just kind of keep it simple and let the numbers play out. And that's just my thing. I don't need to dig on, his laces broke in the second period and he put on a new, and when he shifts laces on his second, on his left foot, then he generally scores 2 goals on the third Wednesday of every month back to back on the road when it's 32 degrees outside. Bite me. That's way too much looking at things for, it's way overthought. For just tell me he's in a good spot and I'll play him. Ottawa and then Carolina's here. Now Vancouver's interesting with Buffalo giving up a lot of goals. Ottawa again. Ottawa and Carolina. Carolina and Ottawa. Shootout. That's your warning. Could be a shootout tonight, and I'll show you that in a different graphic. But if we scroll down a little bit, there's another potential shootout. That's interesting that Detroit's up the list because Calgary's been giving up goals. We know Calgary's going to be in a great spot tonight, or we will find that out shortly. So defense for the month. When the defense is up for the month versus the year, again, this is the baseline. This means the over a larger sample, 3.24, over a smaller sample, 3.92. Playing shitty defense recently, right? So Florida is a target. 3.71, 3.82. You know what? Been shitty all year, right? Well, a little shittier lately, but I mean, shitty is shitty. Shitty is shitty is shitty. Say that 5 times fast in front of your boss. But when you're looking at Ottawa, they're worth targeting. Now, whether or not Carolina can do damage, we'll see. Carolina was high on the Corsi 4 expected, which means they should be directing a lot of pucks toward the net. Their expected goal is high. Carolina should be in a very, very good spot tonight. Now, Buffalo, Carolina, whatever, again, when you're looking at these numbers, up a little bit, kind of nominal, whatever, kind of down a little bit, kind of the same. So really and truly, the only ones you really focus on are these top 2, right? Carolina and Toronto are very, very good tonight. Now, I want to show you what I did in just creating this little chart right here. Very, very simple. Corsi 4, goals 4, fantasy points, basically 4, and then the overall rating. Toronto tops the list in 3 out of the 4 categories. Carolina is in 3 of the 4 categories as well, and they're still in the top 5. So they would kind of be like your number 2. Is that what we just found out? Of course it is. And now, Montreal's gone, Arizona's gone, Florida's gone, whatever. When it comes to Corsi, these 2 teams should be directing a lot of pucks toward the net. They're supposed to score a lot. Their fantasy points should be up there tonight. And then, of course, their overall rating is very, very strong. But in there are some of the others that mixed into the top 5, like Calgary, Pittsburgh, New York Islanders. New York Islanders are running hot right now. They're only in the goals 4. They're not in a lot of the fantasy point, which is interesting, and not in an overall rating situation. But this gives us an idea of who to target tonight. Now, let's move to another page really, really quick, and let's see if any of this bears out. We should have it kind of written down. Toronto and Carolina, probably Calgary, maybe Pittsburgh, and then a smattering, right, of maybe some Columbus, some New York, maybe a little Florida, run it back with some Ottawa if we want to get goofy, whatever kind of thing, and game stack the Carolina-Ottawa game. Something along those lines. Those are all fine, but the main core offenses we should be focused on are Toronto, Carolina, Calgary, and then maybe Pittsburgh, whatever, okay? When I look at the research station over here at dfsarmy.com, I can come into today's games, and once this baby reloads, I can verify a little bit of what I might be looking at. I'm looking for green. Toronto's got a lot of green in the goals 4 category, right? Toronto, not so much. So as I scroll down, and you can look at all this stuff more if you want to, but not a lot going on in Montreal. Columbus looks pretty good lately, so it's bearing out. Columbus was one of those kind of fringe teams. Washington's a team we did not mention, but don't overlook them tonight. And my concern with Washington is that the New York Islanders are very, very shut down right now. They're playing really weird defense right now. It's really been pretty strong. I've watched them shut down a couple of teams. I've kind of been like, whoa, we can't be picking on them this year like we did last year. And but they are on a back-to-back. This would be a very GPP play. I think a lot of people are mistakenly going to use this in some form of cash type formats. I think Washington's more of a GPP play. I don't mind it. Run some Ovechkin, Oshie, Backstrom, Kuznetsov, whatever out there with them, and then kind of take some shots with them. Now, Ovi's always a good one-off, but again, I think it's a little bit dangerous. They may explode tonight. They're certainly in a spot to do it if they catch them on a back-to-back and New York just implodes. But New York hadn't imploded much lately. Look at their goals against. 2.52 on the season, 1.8 in their last 10 games. Okay, guys. On paper, that's not a spot to attack. Unless you're going to take some kind of a GPP flyer on it because everybody has a bad game once in a while. But look at that on paper. Strong season-long number right now at 2.5. Really strong 1.8 number lately. That's a big no-no for the opposing offense. Okay? So just know it, and just know as hard as I sold that Washington's going to go score 12 goals tonight. Ottawa, not so much. Carolina, a little bit. But we know this situation's really, really good. So we can kind of let the rose-colored glasses sell us on that number a little bit. I don't even mind the game stack, honestly. Look at the goals against though. Goals against are bad for Detroit, meaning good for Calgary. And look at Calgary. Oh my goodness. How good is that? Now going again, you can see why with the red, you can see why Detroit's possibly in a decent spot. It's another kind of a sneaky game stack opportunity for you. But looking here versus here is sick. Calgary should lead the slate tonight in ownership. They might not, but they should. You look over here, another decent one in Pittsburgh, and goals against numbers are kind of on the rise in Arizona. Not much to talk about in Buffalo, certainly not much to talk about in Vancouver. Those are okay for maybe some one-off type situations. So that's your overview of the slate. You run into the line combos. And you start looking a little bit at who might be doing what. And Toronto was one of the teams we wanted to key in on. Look at all the green on Toronto 1. Not much on line 2. There's a lot of red in there. I mean, yeah, Austin Matthews is always a stud, but look at what line 1's doing right now. That's worth keying in on, especially the last 5 games. 7 goals and 6 assists in 5 games is pretty strong if you're stacking up that line. Over here on the Florida side of things, there's not a lot really shaking out. There's a little here and there, but not a lot to pay a ton of attention to. Does that mean Florida can't kick Toronto's ass tonight? No. But it means that Toronto's already been indicated in a couple of different areas as being in a good spot, and you know where the production's likely to come from right now. That's what that means. Looking at Montreal, okay, you might be taking some kind of a Danault as or maybe even a Gallagher as some kind of a contrarian type of stack, but it's not an obvious spot tonight. It's not an obvious smash matchup tonight. And it's kind of banking on these guys staying hot, which pushes it more to the GPP side. Columbus, on the other hand, this is very strong. Look at that green up there in top line 1 again. You come down here, there is a little bit cooking on line 2. If you wanted to be a little contrarian, you could stack line 2. But if they were on the road, I'd be way more inclined to do that. But being that they are at home, I'm really just kind of looking to roll out line 1. New York look at how solid that is. Just a 3-stack. Nelson, Lee, Everly. Boom, boom, boom. 12 goals, 14 assists on 64 shots in 10 games. That's twisted. That's twisted how good that number is. For a team that's not scoring a lot offensively, this is the unit doing it. You get a little Barzal down here, but this is the unit doing it. Okay, and look lately. You want to run the hot hands out there, Lee and Everly. Boom, boom. I wouldn't focus on much else in that game. Washington side of things, okay, but we know we're running into kind of a shutdown team right now. This is why, and they're not running super hot either to make me really, really want to try it. Again, overselling the point. So stack Washington. Just telling you. Hashtag Oppo Chapo me out on Twitter when it happens. Ottawa Senators right here. These guys are running pretty good, and that's why I think this could be a sneaky little game stack. Ottawa, my problem with Ottawa is people are going to look at this and what happened, 2 nights ago or last night or whatever, and they're going to say, "Oh, I'd like to, chase those points." So it's a little bit frightening there. The ownership might be up a little bit, but you can't deny the green numbers on the graph. Can't deny the green numbers over here in Carolina either, especially Aho at 5 goals and 1 assist his last 5 games on 15 shots. It's pretty strong. You could use yourself an Aho as a one-off and then focus elsewhere. There's not a lot of goal scoring outside of that. Aho usually drives the ship. You wanted to be really sneaky. You play the contrarian game in a GPP. You come over here with Duquesne, Zingle, and maybe Tierney for a little bit of coverage, right? And you overlap on the power play too with Zingle and Tierney, and then have access to the top line and top power play with Duquesne. Then you've got those 3 guys there. You come out here. You could even run Chabot in there if you want, Chabot, whatever, if you wanted to, and then you come run it back with Aho. Call that your game stack. Detroit. Line production is going to come out of there. Not super excited about it, but look, oh my God, at Calgary. Look at all the green. Look at all the green. This doesn't matter. Pick a line and stack it. We saw Detroit gives up some goals. We know Calgary's running hot. 11 assists, and 10 assists on that top line. 32 freaking assists. 3.2 a game on that line stack. That's stupid. They're expensive. You're going to pay for it, but that is stupid right now. You can also take Giordano and just use him as a one-off, get in and out of that game. Another nifty little punt play down here is Rasmus Anderson at dirt cheap. He's been serving a little bit on the power play too. And while Lamonic is out, he's been getting a little bit of money, a little bit of the time and the opportunity, and he's dirt ass cheap. So you want to run your double D and get access to the entire flippin' offense from both power plays to both lines to everything. You take Giordano and Anderson, run them as your double Ds, and be done with it. Then go focus on a bigger dollar stack like Pittsburgh, or Toronto or something like that. And you've got access to some really strong stuff. Pittsburgh, speaking of, top line's producing okay. Second line's producing about the same. Don't forget Phil Kessel down here on the third line. Look at some of the recent greens. So Pittsburgh being in a good spot tonight is interesting. Going on the road in Arizona is a little tougher place to play. I will tell you this, Arizona is where you can find some sick value tonight. I'm not going to call a Wheeler, Keller, any of those guys. I'm going to come all the way down here and say Panic, who plays both ways, power play and penalty kill. It's cheap. It's got a floor, 3 goals in his last 3 games on 14 shots. That's pretty sick. So I would be looking there. I would also be looking, where is our little buddy Garland? Where's our little Garland friend? Is he on the third line? Is he not being listed in here? Connor Garland serves a little bit of power play time. I thought it was on the top line, but he serves a little bit of power play time. He's got 3 goals, and if you watch his shots, if you go look his regular numbers up, this guy's a tremendous value tonight, and or every night, and so is Osterley. So you got 3 guys to pick from. Now, would I stack them? Probably not. But if I one-off them, I might kind of swing those guys in and out of my lineup. A little Garland, a little Panic, a little Osterley, whatever. And that's probably how I would run those 3 guys. That's where some of the heart of your value is going to come from tonight. If you one off it and you catch it right, you got a decent floor with shots and blocks. And if you can only catch it right, then you've really got something. Buffalo Sabres top line is a little bit of a sneaky spot in Vancouver tonight. I don't really like anything on Vancouver. If I did, it'd probably be like a Horvat. Edler's too cheap, but the damn line isn't really producing much. I don't give a crap. People can talk about Edler's rock solid floor. Show it to me. Where's he been? Yes, he's too cheap for right now, but I can wait. I don't play the timing jump on, jump off the train very well. I want to see over the last, say, 3 games, 5 games, I want to see him start popping up there a little bit. No production at all. No goals, no assists, 14 shots in the last 5 games. Scroll over here, 13 blocks. So 27 shots in 5 games is about a 5 shot per and block goal or floor, which is okay. but with no production, it doesn't do me a ton of good. It's about 6 points on Fanduel, per game, which is okay. But at 4,200, I need 8 to 9 points, and I need to be able to bank it. So that ought to round out some of the plays, some of the little bit of targets, some of where you might want to focus most of your energy, and where you might spin yourself off if you feel like getting a little bit goofy. I would show you the skater tab, but we're already up on 20 minutes. You guys come in. Actually, let's do this. My key stacks tonight, if I was going to run multiple lineups out there, the key stacks I would 4-stack, and I would try to cover 2 lines. I would much love to cover 2 lines of Pittsburgh, 2 lines of Toronto, 2 lines of Calgary, and maybe 2 lines of Ottawa in like a little contrarian stack. I wouldn't mind doing that. If I was just going to focus on 1 line or 1 power play unit, I'd probably focus on Toronto 1, Carolina 1, either Calgary line, either Pittsburgh line. If I was going to get a little contrarian for tournaments, I'd be interested maybe in Washington's top line. Only in tournaments, though. Detroit is a kind of a real sneaky one. There won't be any ownership there. They were showing some positives. New York Islanders, can they stay hot? Definitely a GPP type stack. And then Ottawa, the Ottawa Lions. I might run that 4-stack, like I said, and take 2 from the top line, 2 from the second line, like a Brady Tkachuk or something like that. Maybe run them with Chabot or something like that, and try and get something going there in case they score 4 or 5 goals again, because they might just do it. You never know. Value plays that I was looking at, because we always need to be digging hard for value. Value, you plug that in first, and you can really start having your way with your stacks. It's even better when it's part of your stack. But let's say we were just looking for kind of some one-off value. I already told you a little bit about Arizona, but I would look at Josh Anderson in Columbus, 4,300 winger. Looks a little bit underpriced based on what he's been doing. Mayfield in New York, the Islanders defenseman, is 3,700. That one's a little bit interesting. I don't like it as much as I like Australia and Arizona, but it's not terrible. Connor Garland, 3,900. Love that play. Love the Richard Panik play. Dahlen is still in Buffalo, is still a little bit underpriced, but he's getting up there to where you got to start considering his price right now. There's better value plays out there, stronger value plays. Galchenyuk is not the worst at 5,500 because he's producing right now, so he's still a little bit he treat him like a Zuccarello or a Zibanejad last night. Missed that name too, but treat him a little bit like the Zook Zib stuff from last night. They were 5,700, under 6K, and they're just producing right now. And I don't care that Galchenyuk is on that 3rd line or whatever in second power play unit. He's producing right now. That's okay. Those are sneaky because they garner very low ownership, and you're wiser because you listened to this or saw the numbers bear out, went looking for him, and then convinced yourself that I was right. That's another one that I would look for. Of course, Eberle and New York Islanders is another one. And here's one I saw that I didn't mention in Florida, Vetrano up top. Vetrano's pretty cheap right now. We're looking at 2 goals and assists in the last game, 16. Another top line, top exposure. Runs out there with Barkov and Dadonov. Right? He's got a couple of stud defensemen feeding him pucks. This would be one I'd be looking for is Vetrano. Interesting if he stays on that top line. Maybe not if he drops to that second line. But if he's up there between Barkov and Dadonov, Vetrano is very, very appealing as a one-off tonight too. Unless you're going to be ultra contrarian and stack that top line, which you could do, but I don't see a lot of production out of there for you. All right, guys, that'll do it today. Freebie Friday, jump in for the NBA stuff. A lot of that content's open if you're looking to do a little bit of NBA research. The research station is open just like this, but NBA research station. Our coaches' picks, the way you find those, you go to the NBA channel or the tab. You go to the coaches' picks tab. It's very, very good. We've got one for NHL too, but it's locked up right now for not part of Freebie Friday. And we've got a contest inside our members lounge for $1, and I think it's a $200 or 200-man DraftKings NBA contest with a swag bag, DFS Army swag bag thrown on top. But you only get that as a VIP. So you got to come in today and you got to sign up. Use the coupon code CHOP, CHOP, trigger that 20% off. And get in here now while you've still got time to open up all the premium content and get access to this research station if you want to play with it yourself. It's definitely a neat little tool. We've got some targets. We've got some stuff pointed at you. Comment section has dfsarmy.com in there with the link and the code. So let's fire it up. Let's make this a great weekend. I'll come back on Monday probably, give you some results or give you you a little bit of whatever. I will make one more coaching offer to you guys. Anybody wants to take me on head-to-head in hockey, if you are a DFS Army member, I would be happy to run a free head-to-head with you. You set it up, you tag me, you let me know that you want to take me on, you want to learn how to build a lineup. I will compare my lineup to yours, you compare my, whatever you can learn out of that's fine. If you still have questions, hit me up with questions. Hey, where did I go wrong? What did I see that you didn't, or vice versa? And I mean, if you just want to kick my ass and brag about it, that's fine too. We're going to learn. But what you'll find out over 3, 5, 10, 20 slates is that, first of all, we're going to be pretty even because hockey has a real weird equalizer in variance to it. But it'll build your confidence. But you're also going to find out that we're going to talk a lot about hockey, and you are going to learn a lot if you don't know much about the game, about where to look, what stats to look at. If you ask the questions, I will be more than happy to reciprocate in as thorough as I can be to teach you how to play this game a little bit better than you currently are. So jump on in here. Love to have you. Talk to you guys on the inside. It's Friday, Freebie Friday, and I'm Choppadong. I am out of here.